Hi, welcome to this garage clip. We're going to talk about the TriPlanar aspect of this workout. So as you can see here, Nicole is tying her shoe, and you think that's an everyday task that most people do, and it actually requires 3 planes of motion. So you probably hear a lot about this in our personal training, and now I'm going to bring it a little bit to your Pilates workout. You'll notice if she goes to tie her shoe, she has to flex her hip, her knee. She moves in the sagittal plane. She actually bends over, so she leans, so she works in the frontal plane. She laterally side bends, and then she rotates over to get her shoe and to tie it. All that's a triplanar action. So taking that theory of how our body moves in 3D, we're going to move that into our squats. So if you're wondering why we did all those squat series, why we did them with our feet in various planes of motion, it's because we work in 3D. So I'm going to have Nicole demonstrate a squat series off the GTS so you can see her foot positions and what they're doing. So I'm going to have you stand here. So here's just a little bit of lingo we've taken from the Gray Institute, but we call it XXX. So X, that first X is the sagittal plane, that middle X is the frontal plane, and that last X would be the transverse plane. So if she's standing just hip distance apart neutral, that's XXX. She goes a little bit wider, that's XWX. If she goes really small, that's XNX. We stand in these 3 positions quite often. Taking that theory, most of the times our feet are forward. You have the left foot forward. You'll just go narrow, so R and X, a little bit so that you're neutral will be, or that would be your R and X would be R, L, and X. So for mirror imaging, that's what happens when you teach too much. A little bit hip distance apart would be L, X, X. And then really wide would be L, W, X. So we kind of take this theory of how we go through this nomenclature of how we go through these 3 planes of motion, and we go from hip distance, toes in, we do hip distance, toes out, and then we take this philosophy to your feet being forward, small, medium, large, and staggering the feet. So apply that whether you're standing, whether you're moving with your hands, whatever. But if I've lost you, come back around because I have another thing to talk about, the triplanar element in this workout. So what's another work exercise we do is the lean, and you can take that into cast a spell. So Nicole's going to use the adjustable foot holder. And just to highlight how this workout really tries to build upon the 3D elements of the body, the 3D movement of the body, this triplanar element is with great exercise is taking this lean, and if she wanted to even increase the lever, she could have something where she casts a spell where she has a wand, but we're keeping her away from sticks right now. All right, so from here, arms will come up nice and long. She's going to rotate transverse plane. She's going to lean, slight lateral flexion, slight frontal plane. And then if we want her, we can go back a little bit, I'm really challenging her now, into that sagittal plane, and then she comes back up. So what looks like just a straight on lean is actually a 3D movement pattern. So think about that when you start to tweak your exercises. We give you lots of variations, but think about how can I add in another plane of motion to this exercise? How can I tweak what I'm doing with the legs? Can I maybe add a little turnout? Can I maybe add a little bit dimension element with bringing their feet wider apart? Let's look at the mermaid. So how you sit is up to their comfort level. Hand will come down. So it's usually just more of a lateral flexion over, and then she'll come back in, and then she'll come back around, and then you usually laterally flex. So that's the typical mermaid. From here, she just added a 3D element. She laterally flexed, frontal plane. She rotated, transverse, and then as she lifts her trunk up as she comes in, building in the sagittal plane. So she's taking just a simple 1 plane movement and tweaking it to add a 3D element. Beautiful. And then to get out of this position, she swings the arm back over to midline, arm comes up and over, and then she comes back, swings the arm back over. So this is how we can take this workout and start building upon the exercises, start making it your own by adding in various elements. And you can do that by changing the planes of motion to which the person is working in.